Get ready, Staten Island.
The Ferry Hawks host the Hagerstown Flying Boxcars. Tonight at 7 p.m., it's soccer night, and kids glow around the bases postgame. Saturday at 6:30, it's Broadway night with postgame fireworks and Broadway rave. Sunday at 1:30, it's Military Appreciation Day, and the kids run around the bases.
A great day out for the entire family. Kids run the bases after every Sunday home game. Want the best seats all season? Get more Ferry Hawks for only $63. Visit ferryhawks.com now to lock in your seats.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me. Taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Tonight, the Knickerbockers beat the Spurs 94-90, I believe. And they have, for the first time in 73 years, 53 years, they have won the championship. Okay. Now, that is, of course, great. It's good news. Makes people happy, provided there's no rioting, provided there's no violence. But I have this thought experiment that I use on a regular basis, and it goes something like this. I have been entrusted to explain how we humans work to somebody from a different planet or solar system, and I say, let me explain this thing to you. And he asks me, or it asks me, telepathically, most probably they will not speak any type of vocalization. It'll be telepathic. That's why their mouths, at least for the critters, tend to be so small. It's telepathic. But I would ask the question. They would ask me, what is this event? And this evening, I was listening. I had the windows open, and I hear screaming, and I'm kind of following along, kind of tangentially. I'm actually watching old Ken Burns documentaries on World War II, the Revolutionary War. That's what I watch, and I'm not going to explain to you my viewing habits, but they're bizarre compared to most people. But anyway, as people are screaming outside, reminded me of during the COVID period when every night at 7 o'clock people would open up their windows and bang pots. It was one of the saddest moments of complete and total cultural subjugation. I can remember we were like barking seals in an act, like a circus act. It was so sad. But I would explain to my friend that I was entrusted to explain our human ways. I would say this is the first time in 53 years that this team has won a national championship. And which is interesting, but something long absent returns. This isn't just nostalgia. It's sociology. And if you really want to see, go back and watch something, remember when the Red Sox won after the curse of the Bambino, and oh my God. But this is about sociology. This is human behavior at its best. Sociology, psychology, anthropology, all kind of rolled into one. Human beings, no matter how great we are tribal creatures. And sometimes these atavistic tendencies of ours come out. We love rituals, symbols, symbology, semiotics. We love the way we shake hands, and religion, certain colored robes, and incest and incense, excuse me. Not incense or incest, excuse me. And who cares about bugs anyway? But I digress. No, but we love this. But the rituals and the symbols, all of these moments, it tells us that we belong to something larger than ourselves. It's in us, and it must be from something that is, at least from an evolutionary point of view, beneficial. And that's why ancient civilizations built colosseums and held parades, staged spectacles. I mentioned to you, of course, you know the Roman poet Juvenal called it bread in circuses. Give people food, entertainment, and a shared emotional experience, and society finds some kind of cohesion. It was so interesting. Dear friends of mine from Ireland who came to this country, one in particular said, I don't know anything about baseball, but I want to root for a team. He lived in Sunnyside or Woodside, wherever, and he became a Mets fan. And he went and he immediately bought all of the apparel, all of the various clothings, and all of the indications of such. And he says, I'm going to be a Mets fan. And that's how he became an American. And he went to this, to Shea Stadium at the time, and he said, I don't know anything about your country, but I'm going to share this with you. And immediately, by his showing people that I'm interested in your pastime, it was instant brotherhood. I'll never forget that. It was so interesting. And I always tell people, if you're an expat and you are in another country, find yourself rooting for the local football team or what have you. But there's a deeper level here. As you know, we live in an age right now, an epoch of fractured attention. Families watch different screens, neighbors inhabit different realities. Sometimes we live for years in neighborhoods and never talk to somebody who lives next door to us. Politics has become a kind of a substitute religion, and social media has completely atomized us and transformed us into tribes of one. So when a tradition returns after more than half a century, it's not merely an event, it's a reunion with this collective shared memory that many people don't even realize that they missed or didn't know. And for that moment, again, if they're not rioting, people who don't normally share anything in common, either by virtue of race or gender or sexuality or zip code, for that moment, everybody's the same. Now, we're also starved for meaning. We binge watch shows because myths are gone. We obsess over, and some people do, over fandoms, fans, and stars because tribes have disappeared. We wear logos because uniforms once signaled identity, going back again, tribalism. And the return of something after 53 years is a reminder, I guess, in some respects. I don't want you to think I'm being too deep, but I don't think I've even scratched deep enough. It's that people desperately want some kind of continuity in this culture or lack of that's obsessed with novelty. And psychologically, all of this triggers what researchers call collective effervescence. I love this. It's like that, who was it? Greenspan said, irrational exuberance. This is collective effervescence. And the term means, it's defined loosely as that kind of an electric feeling of sharing emotional experience with thousands or millions of others. This is another thing we do. This is why it's so different and important to enjoy movies, concerts, stadia, sports, because you become part of this organic whole. You're not just an individual. You're an atom, you're granular, you're corpuscular, whatever the word you want to use. But we love that. You can enjoy a movie better in a movie theater with a big screen and people around you than you can just watching it on the screen. It's true. The sad part is a lot of young people don't. And it's the same force behind championship parades, or, rock concerts, or religious revivals, national holidays. For just this one little singular moment, individuals stop being isolated members or consumers, and they become part of this common story. And maybe who knows, maybe that's the real reason. Bread and circus is never just, it was never just about distractions. It was about our way of reminding people that you're not alone, we're part of this thing. It's very interesting. And that's why some animals are lone wolves, some travel in packs, some aren't, some are very singular. It's interesting, the cetacean animals, bottlenose dolphins and orcas and the porpoises, they have a larger paralimbic system in their brain, which allows them to feel loss. And that's why their They have to stay together. That's why it's so cruel when you separate whales from pods. Now, there's also something interesting. The same forces that create unity can also unleash, and this is also interesting, chaos. When a team wins a championship, people sometimes don't merely celebrate a game. They experience what people call de-individualization or de-individuation. This is that Gustave Le Bon crowd theory. This is the temporary loss of individual identity within a crowd. You would never overturn a car alone. Well, you can't. But sometimes when you're together with others, you feel anonymous. You're empowered. You're emotionally fused with others. And by the way, this is why many times they would ask people, why are you looting? Why are you looting? And some people would honestly say, well, I'm looting to get a new stereo or whatever the particular item is. But later on, other people said, I really don't know. I really don't know. I can't really answer that. I'm not sure. Because you're part of this. That's the whole notion of crowd theory. You lose this individual self, and then you become part of the larger group. Crowds can be good. Crowds can be bad. Crowds can be terrific when sometimes, remember, every now and then you'll hear about a story of a car that flips over and somebody's trapped underneath, and all of a sudden usually men, strapping types, will come out of buildings. They don't even know each other, but they will jump into this collective cause of lifting up the car, moving, trying to rescue somebody. It's incredible. It makes me, nobody knows why they're doing it. It's so great to see that. Whenever there was a child stuck in a well, or and this is all over the world, people all of a sudden said, I've got to do something here. Same thing for calls to war, calls to stop behaviors. So this is the wonderful thing, and it's great. I personally, it is alien to me. I'm glad they won, but I never felt any kind of like excitement or giddiness. I have no connection to a professional team whatsoever. None. It's like me watching somebody fish. It's okay. I don't understand it. I don't connect to it.